So, this week we are talking about calming our nervous system, healing with nature, using mindfulness to help us feel good and to really heal ourselves from the inside out. And my guest is the wonderful coach, Carrie Asby, and she shares so many insightful and inspiring tips and techniques in this short 30-minute episode that I know you are going to love. So many great takeaways on there. So we'll dive straight in because it's such a good episode. I know you are going to love it. Carrie, a very warm welcome to this week's episode of the Face Yoga Expert podcast. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm really great, thank you. And I'm so excited and honoured to be speaking to you today and to chat about everything wellness and yoga and feeling good and all the things I know that you're passionate about and I'm passionate about, and definitely my audience are as well. And I guess I want to start at the beginning, really, because I know that you weren't always into wellness and there definitely was a journey there for you. So maybe you could explain that to us.
Sure. Um, I grew up in a household that it was generations of bad habits that had been passed along. And so in my household, I do love my parents and they do try their best, but they had some habits that created a household that didn't have much love and support and compassion. And that stuck with me for a long time, that pain. And pain made a lot of decisions in my life. And pain wasn't making the best decisions. And I kept this pattern of not taking the best care of myself. And eventually that got to a point where there was this one time when I had my own clothing line in San Francisco with my own fashion line. And I made a really bad decision with the boutique owner that was carrying my clothes. It was my number one source of income. And I don't remember what I got mad about, but I got so mad that I went into the boutique one night and I pulled all my clothes off of the rack with this mindset, like, I'll show her. But really, I mean, I iced out my number one source of income. And so I had no money coming in and I had to think of something. And Payne said, well, let's have a pop-up event and we'll just try to make as much money as we possibly can in one night. And the thing is, I've never done one of those on my own. And I put my blood, sweat, and tears, everything into it. And the event was quite, from the outside in looking, it looked amazing. All these people showed up. I had DJs, models were great. People were having drinks, talking. It was just seemed like everything was, going swell. And the thing is, I didn't sell a single thing that night. And because when I said I put everything into it, I put my last dollar. I literally had $5 to my name when I left that event. And instead of going home and getting a good night's rest and taking good care of myself and coming up with a plan that was in my best interest, I decided to go and get completely drunk because why deal with it? And said, let's avoid it. And in that state, I ended up getting my wallet or my purse stolen, which had everything in it, the wallet, ID, keys to my apartment, iPhone, name it. So I couldn't even get home that night. I'd sleep on a friend of a friend's floor. And I finally made it home the next morning and just still in not wanting to deal with what I was going through. And sitting on the counter were 8 bottles of unopened wine. And I opened one and I drank it and passed out. And then I drank another, passed out. And I continued this pattern until I had no more wine and I didn't have any money to go buy more. But the amazing thing is that when I was waking up after passing out for the eighth time, these words crossed my lips. This is not me. This is not Carrie Asby. And what that was is it was my true voice. That was my true self that I had been drowning out for decades with drinking and drugs and partying and burnout and all these distractions pulling me away from my true self. And at my lowest point in my life, she found the courage to push her way through and said, "This is not me." And that stopped me in my tracks. And that was not only the first time I wanted change for myself, that was the moment I was 100% committed to change. And I knew that there was a yoga studio around the corner that was donation based. And if you didn't have the money, you paid what you could. And if you didn't have the money, they let you in, they welcomed you. So I decided I'm going to grab my yoga mat and I'm just going to go to this class. It's my only, in my eyes, it was my only option. It ended up being the best thing for me, probably because I was at my rock bottom. And probably because at that state I was listening for the first time. And also my teacher, Rusty Wells, was that phenomenal. And he is that phenomenal because he's still my mentor today. But that class made me realize that I was worthy of love. And when I left that class, I started doing things differently. I started treating myself better with love and started making better decisions. And that became my pivot. That became the direction that I started down my wellness path. I continued to study with Rusty and started assisting with him with a mindful practice. But I ended up going deeper into wellness as I continued on. But that's how I ended up here today.
Wow. And if you could describe your current reality and your current life, maybe in 2 or 3 words, what would that be?
What 2 or 3 words? Um, at peace.
That's amazing. And that feeling of peace for you, is that something which comes internally, or is it through a series of external situations and practices and rituals that you now do, or a combination of the two?
It's ongoing. I remember one yoga teacher said she never told her students they were doing things perfectly because we are always evolving, we're always growing. And when you say, "Oh, I'm perfect, I reached it," then you stop your growth. You feel like you reached. And so I continue to do my self work, my studies, my practice to improve myself. But I also observe. I've noticed now, like things that even would have upset me and derailed me 6 months ago. And now I take it with grace. So it's a continuous, we are always growing. Nature is always growing. We're part of nature. And so we're always changing. And so you need to maintain that. And so yes, it's ongoing.
And how important is nature in your day-to-day life?
It's everything. It does everything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that that's part of what you offer and share when you're working with other people as well. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I am a wellness coach and I do focus in mindfulness. But I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon, loving the outdoors, backpacking as a little kid and just enjoying the mountains and the river. And it's always been a place where I can seek refuge and feel at myself and calm and at ease. I knew when I was becoming a coach that I wanted to integrate what nature does into what I offer, but I didn't know how. And it wasn't until actually I was taking an avalanche safety course for backcountry skiing a few years ago. And a bunch of us were on our way up to the mountains to do some training and talking in the car about what we love and do. And I was saying, I want to teach people how nature can heal. And I don't know how. And our guide that day, he looked at me and he smiled. He goes, "Well, I just happen to have my PhD in ecotherapy." And he goes, "What you want, there are it is a study. It's real. It's not
Mhm.
something, it's not this whole, this concept that's floating out into space. It actually exists. Um, and so that's when I turned around and got my ecotherapy certification. But it's being in nature is a mindful practice because the modern world, it is constantly drawing our attention and it drains us. Whereas when you step outside, even if you step outside and close your eyes and just feel the sun on your face, that is a trigger into our calm state. And just our being outside is a place to keep you in present moment, but it keeps you in awe, and it keeps you into that place that keeps you in that rest and digest, in the place where we can be your best.
Absolutely. And those words of keeps you in awe just resonate so much because really that's what life's about, those moments of being in awe. But whilst we're in awe, just being in the present moment and really connected with our true self as well as being connected with nature. And I think what all that brings is what you so beautifully described as the way that your life is now of being at peace, which I think is just wonderful. And if someone listening to this is thinking, Carrie, I want to feel at peace too, what would your advice be?
Oh, I love that question. My number one advice is the first thing that you do in the morning matters. It is like, let's say your life is a smooth pond in the morning, it's totally glass. And your first actions are a pebble that you drop into that pond and they ripple out for the rest of the day. So let your first actions be of love towards yourself, of nurturing yourself, having a moment to pause and say, what does my heart need? Not what I need to do, but what do I need to feel my best? And it doesn't have to be a whole hour, going to the gym and journaling and ceremony tea. And it doesn't have, that's a to-do list. It can be something very simple, but it just makes your first actions in the morning take care of yourself, nurture your mind, nurture your body, let yourself know that you are loved, get yourself in your best state, because that's what you're going to take out with you for the rest of the day. And it's also, you're telling yourself, it's your mindset, you're telling the world, you're telling whatever, my needs matter. And as you move forward, you're going to have that mindset. And that's going to help you continue to build up the patterns, the habits that we need to help take care of ourselves.
Absolutely. And when we're in nature, is there any particular actions you think we should take? I know you talk about being very present with what's around you. Is there anything else, sort of physically or tangibly, we can do in order to help us feel that peace when we're in that natural environment, whether it be by the ocean or whether it be in the forest or whether it just be walking barefoot through the garden?
First of all, turn your phone off if you
Mhm.
get your electric device away. But let your senses help keep you in the present moment. Because our mind is such a beautiful thing. It's always working and it tends to go in the past and it tends to go in the future. And to keep yourself present, you can use your senses. You can just focus on what do I see right now? What do I hear right now? What can I touch? What can I smell? If you're in a position where you can taste, but that's not always an option, but use your five senses to keep you fully aware and in that present moment.
Yeah, such good advice. And really, that is just what mindfulness is in a nutshell. And I think we can even bring those practices into our daily life, into our home, whether we're doing household chores, whether we're doing work on a laptop. I mean, obviously, being in nature is going to help us feel more mindful quicker and have lots of other benefits. But from everything you're saying, it sounds like we can just really bring those practices into any situation or circumstance.
When you find yourself aware, like, I don't like what I'm thinking, I don't like the state I am in, you can do a practice called 5 4 3 2 1. 5, what are the 5 things that I see right in front of me? 4, what are 4 things I can touch? 3, what are 3 sounds I can hear? two, what are two smells I can have? And then what's the one taste in my mouth? You can do that practice anytime you're finding your state not, you're in a place where you don't want to be and you want to shift to where you can. That can be done anywhere to get yourself present and fully in the true moment.
And what does your daily rituals and routines look like? Talk us through your day-to-day life, a typical day for you in terms of what you're doing whilst you're working and how you're helping and sharing people, but also what you do to help your mind, body, and soul.
My first thing I do when I get up in the morning, I just take a nice big breath. I fill myself up with life. Breath is life. So fill yourself up with life. Slowly let it exhale, get my heart in a calm position. And then I think of three things that I'm grateful for. Well, actually, first I call my dog, jump up on the bed, and then and then we talk about the three things that we're grateful for. And then I actually will meditate. Uh, and I just do a body check, like how's my body feel? How does my emotions feel? What do I need to feel my best? And how do I want to move forward through the day and set my intention? And then I always practice yoga. Even if I only have like 5 minutes, I'll do sun salutations or I'll practice. And so then I'm in a good place. And then I have a dog, and he's big and loves to go outside. So we'll go for a walk in the woods, and I just get to be with him, be outdoors, listening to the birds, watch his joy. And so I do get up quite early to be able to get all that in there so that I can sit down. And when I sit down at work, I'm recharged, I'm refreshed, I'm ready to go. I'm enthusiastic because I know how I want to be during the day. And then I'm human. And every now and then something will, quote, not go my way. And I might have my reaction. And I have to be aware of what state I'm in. Just take a nice big breath, inhale deeply, let it go. And then I'm very grateful that I have that knowledge. I have the practice to help shift my state. And then I continue on with my day. I make it a practice that I quit my work at 5:30. It's a hard stop, and what didn't get done, it's okay. I did my best, but it's time to start getting ready to nurture my body, get the right foods in me that support me so I can feel my best. And then after a nice meal and a nice long walk with my dog, um, then it's what I call it spa time. And I don't actually go to the spa, but I create a spa environment. I dim the lights, I put on my soft music, I'll put on aromatherapy candle, and it's just to be calm and getting myself ready. It's putting my inner child, taking her away from the chaos of the world, getting her ready to go to bed so that I can get some sleep, have a nice rest, and then wake up the next morning and begin again.
That sounds wonderful. And as I listen to that, there's one word, or I guess two words, that I'm really feeling quite strongly, and they are self love. It feels like your whole day is set up around self love. And what I also like is that you're setting quite strong boundaries with yourself and routines and rituals because you know by doing that, it's going to help really enhance that self love. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I protect my wellness like my life depends on it because it does. If I don't keep those patterns and maintain those habits and I get off track, then I don't feel well. And I don't like how, if I don't eat the right foods, I don't like it how I feel when I don't eat the right foods. When I don't get the rest, I don't like how I feel when I don't take care of myself. Those boundaries, my life depends on it. If someone doesn't agree with that, then we're not the right fit. And there's no judgment, but then I don't create space. It's like, you go do your thing, I'll go do mine. But I want to feel my best. And this is important because I know what it's like on the other side. I've been there and I don't want to go back.
And if you do have, say, a night where you don't sleep well, or you go out for dinner and you eat foods that don't agree with you, or perhaps you don't have time for your daily rituals and practice that day. How do you reset yourself and rebalance yourself? Because I think that's quite an important question, because I think many of us can set up those routines and rituals, but actually life happens sometimes and it's how we bounce back from them that matters.
That's when I call in compassion.
Mhm.
And I just, I literally will just sit for a moment and say, fill me up with compassion. I want to be a compassionate person. And that means I want to be a compassionate person to myself, to others, and to the planet. Because I need to understand that I am human and that I'm not going to be perfect and that I am going to have those days where things don't go, quote, according to plan. And I need to be compassionate to myself because I need to recognize I am trying. I am doing my best. And this is still amazing. And so yeah, it's those moments when it's not perfect. That's when I whip out the compassion card and just ask for compassion.
Compassion is so important, and I don't think we give ourselves enough compassion. And I think if we do want to cultivate self love, compassion is so, so important. And if someone listening is thinking, Carrie, I really want to start doing a bit of yoga, maybe even like to try some ecotherapy, what is step one for that?
The fun thing about if there's yoga studios in your area, a lot of them offer up like introduction packages where you can pay a certain fee and go to as many classes. Take advantage of that. Don't get committed to a studio right away. Every studio has their own approach. There's not a wrong one or a right one. It's just, there's just different ways of going about it. So enjoy, have some fun, test the waters here, test the waters there. Get really find a community that works for you. And as far as ecotherapy, the beautiful thing is nature is always around us. Even if you live in an area where you're in a city and you feel like you don't have much nature, you can always go to a window and even just look outside and watch the clouds, or open the window and listen to the birds, or even have a relationship with your food, knowing where it came from and trying to find foods that are organic and all natural, not processed, because that's the most intimate relationship we have with nature is what we intake. So just you can always have a moment to just find nature. You don't have to go on a hike deep into the woods. You can do right where you are right now. You can find nature.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I think it's also so important to be in touch with what's happening in our nervous system and to calm and balance our nervous system. But I think awareness is really the first step. When you're working with clients in your coaching role, how do you guide them to calm and center their nervous system? Because really that affects everything in our life. If our nervous system is not where it should be, then every single thing has a knock on effect.
Absolutely. Your breath. Your breath is everything. And to help demonstrate that, your breath will is a portal to your state. Like when you're happy, you're laughing, ha ha ha. When you're scared, when you're crying, oh. So if your breath can tell you what state you're in, then you can manage your state with your breath. And when you inhale, like I said before, you fill yourself up with life. And it's really important to let your exhalation be calm and controlled and a little longer. When you exhale, you bring your heart rate down. So you want to inhale, fill yourself up with breath, fill yourself up with life, and then slowly let it out and let your heart rate come back down. That is one of the simplest, easiest ways to bring yourself back into a calmer state.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Carrie, final question for you. If you were to share with everyone one top tip for really feeling inner peace, what would that be?
I think we just said it. It's just about um, taking a deep breath and getting yourself in the present moment. When you are calm and clear, you have a much better perspective on what's really going on. You get rid of these illusions of like this panic that you think is happening. Take a breath, get yourself calm, get yourself clear, and then you're going to find your stability.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And Carrie, if you could share with everyone where they can connect with you and where they can hear more about what you offer.
Sure. So you can go to my website, carrieasby.com, and I do a book there. It's called Your Morning Ritual: Mindful Habits for Peace and Resilience. That's available on my website. I also have an online course called Step into Self Love, and it's very similar to the book, but it's more community based and more one on interaction. And yeah, and you can also follow me on Instagram. It's Carrie Asby. And I'm always giving tips and inspiration and fun facts on that platform as well.
I love that. Thank you so much, Carrie, for all of your wisdom and your amazing tips today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much.